Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. This is one video that I've been thinking about for a while for making for you guys, and what it is it's my country wine recipe. Kind of want to talk to you a little bit about the ingredients and how I go about making this. I'm not sure if this recipe even fits the definition of wine, so to speak, because it's not just plain fruit and fruit juice that we're using. It's a combination of sugar and water and fruit and yeast, and those are the only four ingredients that are in this country wine recipe. This is a recipe that I was shown how to make wine quite a while ago, and I've been using it for years, and it's kind of a universal recipe. And what it is it's 3 gallons of water, not city water. It has to be either bottled water or hard well water, or if you do use city water, it has to be boiled and you have to let it cool down so there's no chlorine in it to mess with the yeast. But it's 3 gallons of water, it's 3 pounds of fruit, 3 pounds of sugar, and then a tablespoon of yeast. And I just use regular baker's yeast for this. I haven't never used like a brewer's yeast or anything like that for this recipe. And what you do is you're going to get a product that's going to look something like this. This is pear wine that I made probably about 18 months ago. As you can see there's a little bit of settlings on the bottom. That's normal for this type of wine, but it clears up nicely as as it sits. And for bottles, I kind of get bottles from friends that drink wine and stuff. You can certainly get regular wine bottles and cap them off. I'm going to kind of show you here what it kind of looks like in a glass. This is the same wine that I just showed you there in the bottle, but it's not perfectly clear. It's got a little bit of cloudiness to it, but this is the country wine that I learned how to make a long time ago. And like I said, it's just a real simple recipe to use. I just use regular sugar, and fruit can be really anything. You can use berries. I've used different combinations of berries: strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, rhubarb. You can use tomatoes, and of course, the dandelion, pear, apples. All these fruits will work. And what I'm going to make today is going to be apple wine, or an apple jack. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grate those apples. I'm going to mix it with my 3 pounds of sugar. So I'm going to have 3 pounds of grated apples, I'm going to have 3 pounds of sugar, and then I'm going to mix that with my proofed yeast, my 3 gallons of water. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix them in a food grade bucket, just like this right here. And then I'm going to put the lid on it. Now this lid doesn't have an O-ring on, so I'm not going to snap this lid down perfectly tight so the gas can escape while the yeast is working. And then I'm going to let it go for about 2 weeks, and I'm going to take a heavy wooden spoon and I'm going to stir it once a day, and that's going to keep the reaction going of the yeast working with the sugar. Now what's going to happen after 2 weeks is I'm going to take that fruit mash out of that, and I'm going to taste it. I'm going to see what the sugar content is, and I'm going to add more sugar into it, a cup at a time, until I get the sweetness that I want out of this wine. And every time you add sugar into it, it's going to start working again, and until the alcohol content gets around 18% in this wine. And then the alcohol becomes toxic to the yeast, and it actually kills the yeast off. And that's about as strong as you're going to be able to make it this way without distilling it or anything like that. And this is just a simple way that I make wine here. I've been doing it for a long time. And I like a sweet wine, so I add sugar into it until I get the taste that I want after it works for the 2 weeks. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just let that set. And after about 3 months, all the yeast and everything is going to settle out of that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take the wine that you have, kind of the raw wine. You're going to take your bottles, you're going to put a strainer in that with a coffee filter, and then you're going to ladle that wine out of the bucket and into your bottles, and then you're going to let it set. And the longer it sets, the clearer it's going to get, like this right here. This right here is a raspberry wine that's a long time. This has been around here. This I made, oh God, over 10 years ago, and as you can see there's a little dust on the bottle because I store this stuff. This is a good wine to have like when you're done working at the end of the day, if you're like if you have friends over, you were cutting wood, or you're done hunting, or you were gardening, or just doing stuff, you can take a bottle of this along and crack it open and pour everybody a small glass of it. It's just kind of a nice, refreshing sweet wine after a good hard day's work. But anyway, when I got these apples grated up, and I got the sugar mixed in them, and I got my water and stuff in the bucket, I'm going to kind of show you what that mixing up process looks like. Alright guys, as you can see here, I've got my 3 pounds of apples. I grated these. Now if you were going to use berries, you would crush them up really good, like either grapes or strawberries, blueberries, raspberries. You'd want to crush them up really good. Now if you wanted to have something like rhubarb in with this, which you certainly could, you just have to cut that up really fine. I mixed the sugar along with the apples here. Kind of makes a kind of a syrupy, I guess mash is one way you could call this. And then I took a little bit of that mash with a little bit of my water right here that I was using, and I got my yeast proof, so I know that my yeast is good and it's working. And then my water right here, kind of show you here, I got my 3 gallons of water into my bucket here. Now I'm just going to add all these ingredients and mix them together. Oh, getting it everywhere. Too late, got it everywhere. Not too bad though. Scrape all this stuff in. And this right here is going to be the base for my yeast for making my wine. Now I'm going to add my yeast mixture. Again, make sure I get all that out really good. There's that. Take my heavy wooden spoon right here and give this a good stir. Now this is what we're going to do every day for 2 weeks to keep this working. And I'm going to put my lid on now. Set that off to the side. I'm going to snap the lid on like so. We're going to kind of leave the one corner ajar a little bit so the gas can escape. Now we're going to set this in a warm corner of the house, and we're going to let this do its thing. After I got this working for a little while, I'm going to come back and maybe do a couple updates later here in a few weeks and a few months, kind of show you how this apple wine or Applejack here is progressing. But anyway, this is Modern Refugee. I appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys are getting a little information, a little entertainment out of my videos. I think being able to ferment yourself a beverage or two is a good skill to have, good prepper skill to have. So that's why I wanted to show this to you guys. But anyway, you guys have a great day.